No? Maybe? Spartan, were you here yesterday? No? Okay. Well, I guess nobody was here yesterday for episodes 1 and 2. So, today is episode 3, and we're gonna hop into the discussion. You guys know how I feel about Kira. I'm not a fan of Miss Kira. I don't care what y'all say. You will never make me a fan of Miss Kira. I think she is the true villain of the season. I will say it as many times as y'all need to hear it, because Chevanique is not a villain. Um, the other girl, none of these girls are villains. Faye is not a villain. Jack, not a villain. I do have concerns that Jack may be a heavy drinker. And I wonder if Jack is self medicating sometimes. And the only reason I say that is because he did bring up his uncontrolled ADHD several times to us and how it was impacting his life. And then at the end of this, we're going to see some concerning things about him walking around in the middle of the night outside. I don't know. Jack is not a villain to me, but something's going on. And so we can't ignore that either. But I will say, I think Kira is a villain. And first of all, her name is spelled Ciara. So I don't really know how to feel about that. Guys, do me a favor, share this live out. Remember to tap the screen. That is how we get pushed out to all of our besties. If you guys are over here, do me a favor, go to the link in my bio, and we're going to switch over to YouTube in a bit. Highly recommend you do that now so you're not interrupted in your viewing experience. But let me also find the top of episode 3 so we can talk about our notes here. They have music gifts over here now. All right, this episode is called "Is This Too Good to Be True?" Faye opens up and she's saying, like, it doesn't feel nice to hear that Jack is saying, "I love you," or saying different things to different people, including that whole "I love you" thing. So if y'all don't remember, Jack told Faye and Kira that he loved them. And I told y'all that's crazy. Day one, but that's that impulse control. Something that people don't really talk about when they talk about ADHD is impulsive, like, word vomit from the mouth. People don't talk about the fact that sometimes you blurt things out that shouldn't be said. And your feelings are kind of yo-yo-ish, can go up and down. And hey, welcome in. Yes, thank you so much, Leah. And I don't think that people talk enough about the fact that that might be affecting his experience here in the pods. And I just want to see what you guys think about that, because I feel like Jack is not a villain. I told y'all that. I don't think Jack is a villain. I feel like Jack has under-controlled, undertreated ADHD. And all the things I see in him are concerning for people who are not taking medication the way that they should be. I don't think he should have said that, because people here are not playing. People here want to get married. They want to have kids right away. They want to move in together right away. So to tell two women in passing, like going out the door, "I love you," should they have taken it seriously? No. But should he have said it? Absolutely not. And I think you can hold space for both. Now, let me know if that's too nuanced for y'all. But for me, my biggest issue is that Jack appears to be unmedicated for his ADHD, and it's making his situation far worse and harder than it needs to be in life. In the girls' lounge, Kira is annoyed. Remember, y'all, he broke up with Kira. Kira didn't get to say her, like, hatefulness and get a reaction out of Jack. So now she's mad that he broke up with her. She tells the girls that Jack isn't genuine. It's only 8 episodes, Vina. You haven't watched it, girl. It's 8 episodes, but the wedding episode is today. Oh, no, Wednesday. So tonight at 3 a.m., the new episodes drop, and it's going to be the wedding episodes. And I will say that she's being petty saying that to Faye. Why would you tell Faye that he's not genuine, that he just wanted to beat her to the punch of breaking up with her, when you were being nasty, so rude to him just the other day or the date before? So I don't know if you're being rude to someone, is it not standard for them to break up with you? Because to me, that would be common sense. If I'm rude to you, clearly I don't want you, and so you're gonna leave or stop talking to me, right? Kira is weird. She just wanted him to chase her. That's honestly all it gives to me, is that Kira wanted Jack to chase her, and the fact that he didn't hurt her ego. Kira is egotistical, and we don't use that word enough. Bring egotistical back, okay? Bring egotistical, self-centered back to the conversation, because that is Kira. She don't care nothing about nobody but herself. And to say that in front of Faye, like, are you a girl's girl? And I know we don't use that word, but there's no other word for it. Are you male centered and just to a point where you don't care about Faye's feelings? Because I feel like it's rude. That's far less than previous seasons. Actually, that's the normal. So usually what happens though is they drop the first 4 episodes. Those are all pod episodes in the United States. And then they drop the second like 2 or 3, and it goes on for like a month straight with all of our episodes coming out, and then they have the reunion a while later. She knew what she was doing when she told Faye. I know she knew what she was doing. She's nasty, she's rude, and she's nasty, and she's unkind. I don't care what y'all say. Kira is the villain of season 3. Kira is hands down the villain. And she wants Jack to be hated so bad because he broke up with her. But it was, hey, Stray Kids. And so, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with what he did personally. And I feel like she kept trying to get a rise out of him, trying to get a reaction. So she was like, every time he would say something to move the conversation forward, then she would like push back with something hateful and nasty. And to me, that sums up her personality. We are talking about Love is Blind, season 3 of the UK season that just dropped last Wednesday. This is episode 3. So yeah, I personally don't know why we're giving Jack so much hate. I will never understand it, y'all. Jack was just trying to find love with the ADHD brain. In the girls' lounge, Ciara also tells them that he said he was going to leave me on our last date and write something nice about me. Girl, you told him to write something nice about you. He didn't volunteer that information. You said you wanted him to write something nice. So instead of doing that, Jack wrote something. Why do you dislike Jack? Instead of doing that, Jack wrote something nice about Faye. He did not write anything nice about Kira. He wrote it about Faye. And yeah, it was her idea to write it about her, but he didn't want to do that. And that's fair. He don't have to write nothing nice about you. Again, it's egotistical and it's selfish. That is the problem that I have with Kira. She's always so selfish. And all the girls are suspicious, but we're not shown anything why, is what I wrote in my notes. Like, you're ride or die. Come on, DJ Panda. I'm not ride or die behind Jack, because I ain't ride or die behind no man. Listen, I hop off the ride first. If it start to go left, I'm gone. But for me, Jack gives me ADHD brain. If I look at Jack, think about how many boys y'all know. We're talking about Love is Blind journey. Love is Blind UK season 3. How many boys or men do you know that act like Jack? And not because they're bad people or raised by bad parents. Like, we know some people have bad upbringings, right? But when I see ADHD, I know it also very well. My brother presents like this. Very nice guy, right? But at the drop of a dime, the way that his brain doesn't compute multiple things at the same time, like, when you say words, right, they have consequences, and sometimes you have to remind him that, hold on, baby, you can't tell two people different things or tell them the same thing. You got to switch it up. And or they'll do something impulsive, and then the consequences of that will be hurting another person, but in their brain they're not thinking about that. It's just getting up, moving, and doing a thing, right? Like, to them it doesn't always compute as what is going to be steps 3 through 6 after I say or do this. So when she gave him the idea to write a note to her, he just naturally said, well, I'm going to write a note to the girl I like, Faye. Never planning for the fact that Ciara would be upset about that and then go back and tell Faye. Because that would have been the first thing in my mind. I can't use the same idea with two people that know each other. Like, we think like that. We think steps 3 through 6 out before we do stuff. Everybody's brain does not. And that's the sad part. The reunion does reveal all. It definitely does. And I wonder if it got revealed even earlier, because there are certain things you cannot hide. And I have my suspicions about Jack. I'm going to continue this discussion, though, over on YouTube. For everybody who is over here on TikTok, I'm going to say switch over to my YouTube. It's linked in the bio. Just click that link and it'll take you straight to my live. I'll see you guys over there. But we're going to continue the discussion about Jack, Ciara, and Faye and episode 3. Okay, guys? Thank you for joining me. I'll see you guys over there. All right, let's get into it. So for me, okay, this is going to come up later, and I'm going to flesh my theory out behind this as we go along. I do think that if y'all don't know the science behind the ADHD brain, you're missing dopamine. And people who miss dopamine go looking for it from other things. Usually it's substances, okay? I don't know if Jack just likes alcohol or if there are other substances involved, because I have concerns that he's searching for that dopamine hit that his brain needs from the ADHD, from things like running or long walks or needing to use substances. And I wonder if he's doing more than drinking. And when we get to the point that we're in the pods, of course, he's under close proximity and watch, so he's not probably doing anything in the pods. But I will say, in the pods, his behavior is out of control. Just out of control. And we see that production has failed us, or I don't know who messed up where, but I don't understand why we weren't seeing more of the reason why these girls were so suspicious. Why was Ciara, why was Faye, why were all the girls in the pod so suspicious of Jack? What did Jack do that I missed that made them all so suspicious in the pods? Because production didn't show us. And they kept saying oh, he's just saying what you want to hear. What did he say that you wanted to hear? He broke up with Ciara. I'm trying to figure out what is going on that we have missed in the pods, because I know that there's something that we've missed. Ciara and Ajay, they're having their date, right? And Ciara tells Ajay, hey, Trees, that I always knew it was you. Girl, no, you didn't. You in here lying. You lying because you just want to lie. You did not know it was always Ajay. For a while, you were contemplating going with Jack. But the only thing is you decided Jack wasn't stable enough, probably, and didn't have enough money. Not knowing Ajay ain't got that much money either. Ajay a brokey too. No offense to Ajay, because I like Ajay. But Ajay is a bank teller, it sounds like. And that don't pay no money. Not in the United States, it don't. I don't know what it pay in the UK. But I don't think Ciara is suited for anyone here. She needs to go to a high-profile matchmaker that is matching men that are making, 200K or more a year with women like her. Trees. And AJ says it's been you from day one, which I do believe. I actually do believe AJ when he says it. I do believe that he actually has been all about her since day one. And if I don't leave here with you, I don't leave with anyone at all. I actually am feeling that vibe from him. Not her, him though. And what's really sad is I feel like if somebody made more money and was just as stable, she would go with them. I don't feel like she's attached to AJ. She just wants the wedding day. Um, Kira says, I appreciate the way you showed me your cards and said you let me know when you're ready. And so I don't know. I don't like this girl, y'all. I just really don't like Kira. I don't believe anything she says. I think she's extremely selfish. Yasmin and Jordan, let's talk about them because I like Yasmin, right? But she's a little boring. She's a little dry, but so is Jordan. He's not very fun either. Again, Jordan said that he used to act out as a kid, and so as punishment they sent, well, not punishment, but they thought it would turn him around to send him to the army. How do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about parents who don't know how to parent successfully sending their kids to the army to get parented? Because I be thinking to myself, your kids can't follow directions at home, and now we got them out here saving the planet. Like, your kid don't know how to act right at home, so we're gonna put him on the front lines to see if he can follow orders there. Like, you're playing with their life. Do you like, if your kid don't act great at home, I don't know that the answer is to send them to a bunch of angry, disgruntled men and make them fight for the country. I know parents do it. I do. But it's questionable. It's questionable. I think so. Here's also another thing where that, like, it does teach you discipline because you do have to be disciplined to be in the military. But do I want them defending me? I don't. The parents doing that because some kids are truly evil, uncontrollable. You're right. No, these kids are out of control. That part is not. I just don't know that I want them defending my country, if that makes sense. Those same evil, uncontrollable kids grow up sometimes to be evil, uncontrollable men who are the ones not obeying orders and trashing cities and harming women and children. I think sometimes we send those people to the army thinking it's going to straighten them out, and instead it makes them worse sometimes. And it can really, I think we need to work on parenting. Yes, for send those kids for help, and you get the help to be able to parent them better when you notice those signs. But to send them to the military to defend me in my country, in my life, when you know that they don't barely care about their own, I don't know. I don't know. I always think that that's a question mark. Your child is out here unaliving cats from their neighbors, and you want to send them to the military to have all types of access to women and children and people they're supposed to protect across seas where maybe the government isn't as involved. I don't know. And then I always think back too, this is something we don't talk about enough, is how the military is like unregulated chaos, right? Internally, they know a lot about the assaults that happen and they say nothing, especially when it's women officers that are assaulted. Male officers get assaulted too, not saying that they don't, but they let things slide in the military sometimes that are just egregious. So I'ma just put that out there. When your kids are out of control, maybe not sending them to a place where they breed misogynistic terrorists. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, and it worked out for Jordan, it seems, but that could have went the other way. And he was on the front lines in Afghanistan for a while, and he said he was so scary. He had some near brushes with the other side, that bright white light, which helped straighten him out. And then I thought that he was really sweet. I don't know, for her, she was crying about this. He said, I can see you being my wife and the mother of my kids. You make me feel so safe. I said, oh, that sounds like a threat to me, but I like the fact that she likes this. So it was such a sweet moment for them. But if somebody said that to me, no, thank you. You said too much now. We could have just left it at we soulmates and kept going. But when you said you about to be the mother of my kids through a wall, and then the way he ends up treating her, if you watch the rest of the season, it just don't make sense. To go from this, y'all both sitting on the other side of walls crying, and then all of a sudden y'all get in person and y'all ain't got nothing to say to each other. Like, make that make sense for me. I don't understand Jasmine. Oh, whoa. Yeah. Well, yes, let's call them Jasmine. I actually like that as a couple name. Jasmine's cute. Yasmin and Jordan. I don't see it for them. I just don't. I think that I just didn't like that. Jordan and Yasmin, they do get engaged this episode. And then we also have, like, their moment was cute, but he just was. When they met, though, did you feel like Jordan actually liked her? Can y'all tell me, did y'all feel like Jordan liked Yasmin when they met? I did not feel like Jordan was feeling Yasmin. And I do think it has something to do with the vitiligo. I'm sorry, because I don't see how. I think she's very pretty, right? Like, clearly, nobody's going to say that her face card ain't eaten. So the only thing I could think, I didn't think he was feeling her when they met. Am I the only one? Yikes, I guess I am. I didn't feel it. I didn't see it. I didn't like it. But we do have to talk about the women's lounge. So we get a lot more information about Ciara in this episode. If y'all are watching or if y'all watched, Ciara, not my favorite character, but we got to talk about her. So Ciara's in there. She does apologize to Faye. I don't feel like she's being sincere. I really don't. Her and Sincere might be friends, actually. From, if y'all were around for Love Island, y'all know who I'm talking about. But Ciara and Sincere would make good friends. Good friends. Because there's no way you're going to say you didn't mean to say all that in front of Faye. I thought he had paused when he finally saw her. Whatever he was selling, I bought it because it seemed genuine. Leah, you bought it? I didn't buy it. I put it in my notes. That's why I was confused at first. Like, what does that even mean? It was when the second proposal, and I put it in there. Jordan ain't feeling Yasmin. Jordan is not feeling Yasmin because, I mean, he was feeling her in the first proposal, but he couldn't see her. And then when the second proposal came, I put in my note that he wasn't feeling it. And I was like, yikes. But I was like, no, maybe he just nervous, because I've heard from contestants that it's like a whole bunch of people. You can't see them, but it's like a whole bunch of people that watch y'all meet for the first time, and it's really awkward. So that's why we get so many awkward kisses and things. It's because people are feeling weird. So that's why hesitation trees. Yes. It was just like, oh, what do I do? Like, kind of feeling to me as the viewer. But in person, I was like, well, maybe I'm just wrong, because I don't know, maybe it's just so many people around. And then he kind of made me waffle a little bit on my opinion, because he was being so nice to her when they got there, and all the guys were like, no, she's great, she's amazing. And then I was like, but I think what they were doing was placating him to Oh, I hate that I have to say this. I felt if I heard this conversation, they weren't calling her hot. They weren't calling her like, hot. They were calling her sweet. And I wonder if that was their way of not calling out the obvious. You know how you see an ugly baby and you be like, "Oh, that baby precious. That baby gonna grow up and look just like his daddy. His daddy ugly." So what are you truly saying underneath of that is like you're avoiding the thing that you don't want to say out loud, but you're trying to just make up for it by the fact that Yasmin is so great in her personality. And you're just saying, like, I get why you were attracted to her because she's awesome. I think he painted a picture of her and didn't expect the vitiligo to be in her face. Like, you have to see it because it's in her eyes versus like her hands and arms or an easy place to hide. Exactly. Exactly, Trees. And this will come up on the honeymoon, which I know we're not there yet, but I don't think he also, like, she probably taught him a little bit about it, like the fact that she's missing melanin so she can get sunburnt very easily in those spaces. And like, he knows that it's a huge concern for her now. So now it almost feels probably to him like he's taking on someone with health concerns, which surprisingly, do you know I told somebody that I had something that I consider to be very minor, and somebody was like off put by it because it was a health concern of mine that wasn't like genetic or I couldn't spread it to them, but it was just like I have IBS, so I was like, "Oh, I mentioned it like in passing conversation." And the person was just like disgusted by the fact that I had IBS. I was like, it's not contagious, right? And that like I'm not, it's not like I gotta go to radiation or nothing for it. It just is what it is. I watch what I eat. I eat things that I like are healthy for me. People's brains are weird when it comes to anything at a young age, you having anything. So I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's also what it was. I don't know. However, we were talking about Kiera and the fact that she pretty much still is calling Jack disingenuous every opportunity she gets. And she rubs me the wrong way because I consider her to be disingenuous. I don't feel like she was being transparent with AJ, in my opinion, about how heavily she was considering Jack. I don't think, and she doesn't have to do this, but I think that it was a sign of how serious she was considering Jack based on the way that she was flirting with Jack. Kira definitely was giving him way more physical intimacy in their conversations than she ever gave to AJ. I think Kira also was downplaying her attraction to him. And so that's why she keeps bringing him up. It's because she really does feel like Jack should have been her man. And she's not telling the whole truth. People run at any inconvenience or anything that sounds like I'm going to have to take care of you before they're in deep enough to build that level of care. I agree with you 1,000%, Trees. And vitiligo doesn't even require that much care. Like, listen, slap some sunglasses on and a little bit of sunscreen, baby, and we on the beach. It's not like anything that you wouldn't already do, hopefully, if you're on the beach or out in the sun for a long period of time. Like, she definitely likes Jack more. Girl, I hate to see a girl be beggy, but I almost would rather her beg for Jack than to do what she's doing, which is become spiteful and nasty to Faye. I don't mind people begging for what they want. Like, I know people will call it begging, right? Like, I would rather her fight hard for Jack than to let him go, but then make him and his relationship miserable. Because I feel like she's just doing this to hurt Faye too. Because every time she makes a snide comment or rolls her eyes when she speaks about Jack or calls him disingenuous or says he's not being honest, she's hurting Faye. And I'm not okay with that. Like, You don't hurt other women in your mess. Like, you're allowed to be disappointed, but you don't get to hurt other women. And I feel like she also is going to do that again with Francesca later on. But that's just how I feel about her. I don't like it. I've told y'all I don't like this girl, and I'm gonna spend. I know it's crazy, but I am going to spend this entire time probably telling y'all how I feel about her. I do not like this girl. She does not take care of anybody else but herself. She don't care about Faye. She will never convince me that she does. I know she keeps saying it, but you don't show it. Faye ain't done nothing to nobody. Hey Mia, welcome in. Um, and she thinks if he didn't end up with her, he shouldn't be with anyone. I have a theory about that. I think she thought she was superior to all these pretty women. I think that she feels that she is hotter than all of these women. First of all, look at his face and this body. Listen, not to compare these women, but all of them are gorgeous. Every single one of them is gorgeous in their own way. Chev is fine. Francesca, baddie. This one, giving bombshell. I don't see anything wrong with any of them to make her feel like she's superior to them. I don't understand Ciara's mindset, but I do feel like she thought she was better. If y'all remember Hannah, Leo, and Brittany, do y'all remember their love triangle? I felt the same way about Brittany. I was not feeling Brittany at all. I think she was there for money. And I think that she thought she was better than Hannah. And it was because, in my opinion, she thought that Hannah didn't have the body or build to compete with her. And that Leo was somehow going to prefer her body over Hannah. If I'm being honest. And I'm never going to be here for that. Never gonna be here for you putting down another woman. Now, Hannah was an awful person, but she wasn't like, she was broad backed, but she wasn't ugly. Like, let's be real. Hannah was a terrible person, and she might have had a broad back, but she was never ugly in the face. She just had an ugly personality, and I'm not here for that. The way she treated Nick was terrible. But we do have to talk about Faye. Faye is this awesome, beautiful executive assistant here, and she's in her confessional saying that it doesn't look good for him. Girl, the only reason it doesn't look good for him is because you're letting Ciara get in your head. Ciara is terrible, and you need to stop listening to her. Stop going to her about Jack. Stop talking to her. Stop it. And now Jack comes in. He's not helping himself, right? He says, you still got those red nails? Jack, why are you, baby, she don't got red nails. You thinking about the other girl. Please stop talking. And he can't stop talking. That's the thing about Jack. His ADHD is real bad. And because of that, he can't stop talking. He can't stop blurting stuff out without thinking. And he has his notebook in his hand. All he had to do was flip them pages and go back and see who had the red nails. But instead, he said it out of his mouth. And now she's thinking that what Ciara said is true. He's just saying anything to anybody and doesn't even know the difference between the two of them. So Faye says, that wasn't me. Okay, that was Ciara, but okay. And she was telling me that, well, Ciara was telling Faye that he was her number one, or the other way around. She was his number one. And that he was going to write something for Ciara and not for her. And I love that Jack was honest. I didn't write anything for her because I wanted to pursue something with you. And I do feel like he was being transparent in that moment. The thing with Jack is, I think, again, we misinterpret ADHD symptoms sometimes as disingenuous. But the boy is just, he needs to be treated. I'm sorry. He's one of those cases where I can't make excuses for you not getting treatment. And I see how it's affecting your life. And I hope that he watches this back And he also sees how this is affecting him. Cause it is. It's really sad. Um and Faye admits that sometimes she gets scared that he is disingenuous. Do y'all feel like Jack is disingenuous? Just asking. Do you guys feel like Jack is telling the truth to the best of his ability? Or do you guys actually feel like he is trying to deceive Ciara and Faye? Or Faye more so than Ciara now? He actually told them both he was going to write that night. Ciara asked, "You're going to write me a love letter?" And he said, "Don't tempt me." Exactly. That's what I remember. I remember her asking him for the love letter. I don't remember him telling her, like bringing it up first with Ciara. So that's how I remember that conversation going with Ciara. I didn't remember him saying that to Faye. Um, I just remember him saying, "I don't do well with my words." And he was like, "That's why when I went home last night or went back last night, I wrote all of my thoughts down so I could say them correctly." And again, the ADHD brain will jumble words together. and that's and you know, when it's severe, it's even worse. But I think that to the best of his ability, he was trying to express himself. I think he's trying to be honest too. I really do. I think he's trying. Um, yeah, but God, what? Okay, can we take a detour? Because I told y'all I think the UK does undertreats ADHD. So it says that the ADHD center, they spell center different. I didn't realize that. They put the R before the E in center in the UK. That's weird. The ADHD center in the UK says that the light switch is finally coming on. They're finally figuring out that ADHD medications can be life changing. Like, I've been telling y'all that they do not treat ADHD. And Jack is the poster child for what happens when you don't treat ADHD in boys. And girls present differently. They usually don't present like Jack, but the fact that they're having to put this on the top page of the ADHD center in the UK on their public website is crazy. Like they're just starting to treat people like Jack. The NHS website. I I am appalled by that. And like they are still having access and shortage issues because of manufacturing limits. Anyways, I feel like Jack could do better by getting treated. What happened between him, Faye, and Ciara could have been avoided most likely if he was calmer in the pods. I really do. And Jack says, "I would never hurt you." I do believe that he thinks that's true. How do y'all feel about him saying that? Because I feel like it's a promise that you shouldn't make because you will hurt people. I just feel like, again, his ADHD brain has him blurting out words, and he should have said, "I will never intentionally hurt you," because when that's a big sentence. "I would never hurt you" is a big sentence. Everybody should be cautious about saying something like that because you will hurt somebody at some point that you love. Like that's just common sense. But he's blurting stuff out. They behind the ball. Jack says he has mild ADHD. Sir, I agree. I agree. Trees, listen, and this is no judgment, right? Because we all have our shortcomings in life. I don't see it as mild either, okay? This is no judgment to Jack at all. But baby, we're past the mild part. We are pushing up on that severe ceiling, okay? mild, moderate, and severe. He is right in that moderate to severe category because his when I first saw the, you know how they do the rollout of the cast and his part of the video clip, I was like, this man is a joke. His whole life is about to be a joke. And then I met him and found out about the ADHD, and I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that he had that going on. And I think for my brain, when I watch him, like, first impressions are not good with Jack. Jack's first impressions are trash. So I can only imagine how hard it is for him to get a job, probably, or go out on first dates. No offense. No offense. No offense. Um, Ain't nothing wrong with it. They just need to get that baby some care. They doing him a disservice. I agree. And to come on TV, can you imagine how embarrassing he? I don't know if he's embarrassed, but I would imagine that he came on TV and he was like, I really act like that? Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. That's a lot. He's the kid who can't sit still in class. Oh my gosh, he was more than can't sit still. He was a disturbance. That boy was probably making paper airplanes and throwing them at the other kids. He was the one like doing the little paper football flicks off the desk. He was a distraction, and I can just tell because he's a distraction as an adult. I know he won't together as a kid. This is this is probably him doing a lot better than he used to do. Can't sit still, can't be quiet, can't. And that's why he doesn't have a steady job too, is my guess. I really do. I think that that also plays a role in it. Oh, we gotta talk about my two people, y'all. We gotta talk about Ryan and what is her name? Cuba. I don't even want to put Ryan up here. Look at this pretty face, Miss Cuba. Ryan and Cuba, they're an interesting couple. Y'all know I'm not into tree huggers, but Cuba says in her confessional, I hug trees in the park and they tell me what they feel. Girl, got to see the lady. I'm trying to tell y'all, the NHS ain't all it's cracked up to be, because how are these people on the loose? How are these people running around outside just looking for husbands, and they out here hugging trees and the trees tell them how they feel? Like, I'm trying to between her and Jack, I think the NHS is failing somewhere along the line. She need to see the lady too. That I'm okay with you talking to the plants, but when the plant starts talking back to you, that's where we cross the line. That's where I need you to see somebody. And you might need to be on medication too. She said she brings her problems to trees and they heal her. Child, I don't have time for this. I mean, I guess if you roll that tree up in some paper and light it, yeah. But if you just talking to the trees about your problems and they able to fix it, y'all don't see an issue with that? Y'all don't see, it's just me? Because I see an issue with that. Hugging trees is one thing, okay? That's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna hurt anything. Maybe you need to ground, be one with nature. But talking to the trees and them talking back to you is where I draw the line. Talking back. It's the same way my mom and dad used to say, you can talk to yourself, but you cannot answer yourself at all, ever, in their presence. Like, that's when they know you have crossed the line. She has crossed the line. And I know she pretty, so we don't oftentimes call her pretty people out. But my girl need to see the NHS lady, okay? Ryan says, I felt guided here. First of all, what is going on? Okay, I'm so sorry to everybody that lives in the UK, but I'm gonna say this. I don't think y'all are well. I think the queen is putting something in that water. And y'all are turning up over there, because what is happening? He was like, I felt guided here. And I was, by what? What? Who held your hand and led you here? I hope you just saw a casting call and decided to come in. Who guided you? What held your hand and brought you here? Because if so, I don't want to be connected with it. Right. Because there's too much going on. Cuba says, I've never dated a spiritual guy, so it is nice to meet someone like you. I will say this, okay? And this isn't a judgment either. She don't look like she would be spiritual. And that's why she's not dating spiritual guys. She gives me, I attract rappers and basketball players. She don't give me, she attracts, let me go sit in the trees and walk around barefoot. Kumbaya, you know, get you ya ya da da type behavior. She don't give me woo woo, you know, she gives me homegirl. She don't give me what I'm getting. And so it's confusing to me. Ryan just be lying through his teeth. I don't think he's spiritual for real. Can we talk about that? I think Ryan is a master manipulator. Ryan gives me, I jump on whatever the fad is. I'm going to do it long enough and learn just enough to give these guys inspiration, because you know he talks to men. It, if you go to his Instagram, it's like working out content, men's conferences, how to be a better man, what to do to, you know, be guided and enlightened. I feel like Ryan uses spirituality just enough to make people think he's of some higher level and he's better than them, so that they will pay that money to come to his little TED Talks or whatever he does, and they'll listen to his speeches and say, oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about, he could be my spiritual leader or counselor. Don't take no advice from this man. Please don't be taking no advice from this man. He's giving scammer. He's giving potential cult leader. This is not okay. She morphs well. Like, my house is full of plants and crystals and incense, and I walk barefoot, but when I go outside, I turn all that off until I'm in similar company. Maybe that's what it is, because I did not get that from her at all, that Cuba was going to be woo-woo. I just did not. Like, what is this? Actually, to me, she looks like she could be the sister to, do y'all know who Storytime with Ricky is over on TikTok? She looks like this could be her sister. Really. She looks like a regular around the way girl. It's a scheme that Todd set up to come to the men with the BS. Absolutely. With Ryan, it is. He is the scheme that Todd set up. And Mama Joyce wouldn't be having it. And I need the men to wise up and not be having it with Ryan. Ryan is not somebody I would take spiritual advice from. Trees. Yep, after hearing that, I stand by my white nature boy assumption. Yeah, he's not it for me. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. Ryan just ain't it for me. Mm-mm. And the smoke that y'all have for Jack, why y'all not giving it to the men that's like him and Jordan? Because maybe it's because Jordan and Ryan are quiet. Do y'all think that that's why we're not really giving them smoke? Because the way that people talk about Jack, and I knew they were when I watched it, I was like, oh, they're not gonna like Jack. But Jack isn't nearly, to me, as grimy as Jordan, who won't let his girlfriend move to him, and Ryan, who refuses to come home and spend time with Cuba. And look at how fine she is. Why would you not want to come home and spend time with Cuba? I don't understand them not getting smoke, but Jack getting smoke for just saying I love you to two girls in the pods, even though they were jokes. Like, that was first day he said that. If he's leading men but acting like this in real life, I hate to go near any of the men paying to see him. All of them. This is why I stay home. I don't understand how y'all are dating in 2026, because I feel like most men act like Ryan, Jordan, you know, just weird. AJ. Like, well, no, not AJ. Sorry, Joseph is the one I meant. I also don't get good, but I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just distrustful of Joseph, but I got my eye on him. I got my eye on him. I don't know, y'all. It just isn't giving. I don't know what it's giving, but it's just making me off kilter. I don't even know who Taylor is, so I can't talk about Taylor and Sophie too much. Because like the notes that I have on them are nothing. basically. But anyways, um, with Cuba and Ryan, Ryan says that, oh, no, no, no. It was Cuba who started this conversation. Sorry, y'all. Cuba says, one of my dreams is a natural garden with chickens, and I want GMO free fruit and vegetables. Girl, them GMOs ain't gonna hurt you. They ain't gonna hurt you. Just replicate that DNA and put it in there. If my strawberries gonna be bigger, I want all the GMOs. My bananas ain't gonna be this small. Give me the GMOs, because I'm not the girl who cares about genetics being modified in my food. If it gives me a better quality of fruit, I want it. Give it. I'ma take it, because I'm not trying to run to the store and get bananas every day because they this big. No. And then Ryan says the farmer plays frequency music to the chickens, and he thinks that's why the egg comes out so yellow, the yolk. Y'all, what am I hearing on my television? Y'all, what is happening on my television? Is everybody okay in the UK? Because what the frequencies got to do with the chicken yolk? I have never heard this before. Does that change the yolk for real? And then he goes and says something off the walls, in my opinion. He says, I want my kids out of the education system. So where they gonna go? And then Cuba goes, I think I could teach them more than the school system. Are you, have you gone through K through 12 like training? Like, how do you know that you're a better teacher than the teachers? Do you know, do you remember the quadratic equation? Like, have you practiced teaching history? Because it's very complicated and it's very extensive. Like, they got to know world history, geography, you know, like all the histories. You prepared to teach that? I don't know, y'all. This ain't my type of relationship. Cuba and Ryan are strange to me. Uh, so in yeah, that's their relationship with Cuba and Ryan. And then I've heard of people listening to frequency music, but never for chickens and it making the yolk yellow. Thank you, Treese, because I'm not crazy. I've never heard that. Um, I fear for us all. I told y'all, they just letting people do, anybody be parents and letting anybody do anything. Because what you mean you could teach your kids more than the teachers that went to school for 6-7 years to get a master's in education and follow it up with certifications? There's a reason they do all of that education, is so that they're qualified to not only understand, show that they're qualified to understand it, but also teach it in a way that's age appropriate. You won't go back to school to learn how to do that? Because it's not just about you learning the information. You got to be able to teach it to an 8-year-old. And then if you're going to do all ages, well, you're going to have to learn how to teach it to a 13-year-old and then an 18-year-old. Like, that's a lot of education. But she also said she would want them to decide once they're 7 or 8, and asked Ryan if he would be okay with that. But Ryan's answer seemed off. It was off. He don't want them involved in the system at all. If it's up to Ryan, she would have her babies in the bathtub and they wouldn't even be registered with a social security number. Ryan seemed like he don't want them to be in the system. He don't want them to have no credit cards. He wants them to live off the grid. He would be out there, and then watch him be out here flying back to Germany, and you know, he living a life of leisure in these hotels and coming back to see his family only every now and again. She on the ranch. She got to ride the bike to make butter. You know, she got to be out here sewing by hand. She doing all the hard work and raising the kids and teaching them at school because she not gonna work. And he at the Marriott chilling, doing his men's conferences. He can't even teach himself to communicate with his wife. No, I cannot, because the way that this changes, he seemed super nice. Okay, so here's the thing. In the pods, besides them being weird together, I didn't have a problem with them because they were weird together. I don't like it when one person's weird and the other one's not, because I'm like, how y'all gonna work on that? But they were weird together. So I was like, okay, well, it's not for me, but it doesn't mean it's not for you. And then when I get out, I can see that this ain't for nobody, because this man don't even like you. Or if he does like you, he don't know how to show it. And then you just like, oh, it's about him though. It's also about you. You getting robbed of an experience to be a fiance right now. Nobody's celebrating you. He's not championing you. He's not talking to you. He don't care about your feelings. He don't even ask you about your feelings. Cuba, you don't see this? Like, it's just me that don't see that he don't like you. Ryan wants that 1920s kind of love. Correct. Because I was also thinking, he said he wanted kids, and he made that clear that they want more than one. Do you know how touched out he's gonna have to be and get used to always being on? The thing with having kids is they don't have an off switch. They always in your face. Them kids always gonna want to put their dirty hands sticky on you, asking you for some more cheese doodles, some more cheese puffs. They want another cracker. Can you come and get them some Ritz out the they always gonna want you to do something. There's no such thing as being emotionally or socially tapped out with kids. Like, even when you go to sleep, if they got a cold, they want to be right up under you. They don't want you to leave them nowhere, so you're gonna have to hold them while you sleep and be uncomfortable. Just like they you trying to sleep in their head right here all night long. You think you gonna be able to just say I'm tapped out and not talk to them? Like, what he's saying to her doesn't make sense. And she has to be able to see that. I don't know. Or maybe she can't see it. I don't know. Oh, I don't know, Cuba girl. Like, I want the best for her, but it's giving she don't get it. Let's do Joseph and Chevanique next, because they had some time in the pods because they're still together. Episode 2. So it's Joseph and his boy. If he ain't got a lot of hair on him, I posted a picture today and I was like, it looks better when I cut his head off in the middle. So I thought about it because I did a YouTube post about Joseph and I put his head in the picture. Oh, this is Love is Blind, Mia. You not watching Love is Blind UK? Girl, you got to catch up. It's 8 episodes dropped last Wednesday, and one or two more dropped tomorrow. I think it's just one, and that's the wedding day episodes. It might be 2. I don't know if they stretch it out across 2 episodes or 1, but all the couples are getting married tomorrow. And so, yeah, this Joseph, I was like, he need to cut some of this head off, just right here across the top. He got a lot of head on him. Anywho, Joseph says, I think where I'm struggling is I don't think I've gotten to know you emotionally, to Chevanique. How did y'all feel about Joseph being the one to have this conversation with Chevanique? How did y'all feel about Joseph saying, I don't know you emotionally, to Chevanique? They do, Trees. They do. And it is unfortunate. Moms deserve a break too. Moms deserve a break. And dad would have to take over, because you can't be a present parent and be like, well, I'm overstimulated. Just get over it. You done had these babies. They gonna be in your face until they go to school at 5. Get over it. Because hey, I'm not about to do all the work by myself. But I personally had a problem with Joseph saying this, because if y'all recall from episode 1 or 2, I can't remember, but it was one of those episodes. He told, I think it was Francesca, that I don't get vulnerable. I never saw my parents have a good relationship. I don't do vulnerability. I always have my walls up. And now he has the audacity to be like, I don't know you emotionally, to Chevanique. Is that possibly because you also have not opened up and dropped your walls with her, but you're expecting her to be emotionally unguarded with you? How does that work? And how is that fair? Because I see a lot of men do this too, where they're like expecting you to pour, 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 and then they don't want to give anything. Like, no, communication is a two-way street, and you're not going to have all this emotional depth on me, and then I'm not getting the same, I guess, intimacy from you. Like, you got to give me something too. But he did hit, like, I don't know. Chevanique does say that she has her guard up a little bit, but she's scared of opening up. Um, and I said her and Joseph are just the same person in my notes. And Joseph says, I pray that God allows you to find growth and puts that in your life. What? Like, Joseph, you be trying to slip God in to sound all superior, but babes, you're the same man that said I must be sleeping with you and knocking boots before we can get married. I don't feel like Joseph, he slips into Christianity when it's convenient for him, and then he slips out. And he's also putting emotional demands on Chevanique that he's not even able to do anything with himself. You can't even lower your walls for her. He is rude. That's what I told you. I don't know what it is, but I'm not really feeling this man. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling him, and I know the girls love him, but I can't see it. I can't see it. It ain't for me. Chevanique is in tears on her side. And she says in her confessional, in relationships, I've been scared to show that side of myself. But with Joseph, I feel okay with being authentic. That's also where this bothers me, because we know later on that him and Chevanique are not going to be together. And that's what she was afraid of. So therefore, you reinforced her fears. She dropped the walls for you. She starts crying in front of you and is completely emotionally available with you, only for you to then decide, it's too little too late. I'm gonna walk away. So why you didn't walk away right here before you had her doing all of this to prove something to you, and then now you're not interested, which is what she was afraid of from the beginning. These men, like the men that are really truly the problem, are the problem. She did. Chev and him play. I told you they're the same person. This is why I think he needed to be with Chev. I know he's with Francesca. Okay, I understand. I understand. But this is one of those situations where if I could choose, he would be with Chev. They are the same person. Y'all need to take each other and your damaged goods and go together real bad. Real bad. Because I actually feel like Francesca's a very sensitive, sweet soul who just unravels so quickly. And I think that's why he ended up choosing her. It is not because they're actually super compatible versus him and Chev. They're actually not. But because they're so different, he knows he can get away with certain stuff that Chev would probably be on his behind about. Like, she ain't gonna be no smooth sailing around here. We're not gonna move at just your pace when you ready. Chev would hold Joseph accountable in a way that Francesca is just so meek and mild mannered and would not. Did you think Chev was actually vulnerable, or she just cried? To me, crying is vulnerability. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not something I would do in front of other people, especially not in front of a camera crew. And I know that like the cameras are on the wall and recording. That would never happen. So the fact that I cried for you would be, we're never speaking again. A matter of fact, you couldn't even get a hello and a goodbye out of me if you made me cry on national television and then did not choose me. Because what was the point, Joseph? What was the point? I'm sitting up here crying. And now all my coworkers down at the sex clinic gonna know. And then for what? You didn't choose me. You made me open up and be willing to share with you, because those conversations are hours and hours long from what they've said. Like, other contestants have said that they've been in conversations for like 3 hours sometimes as they get closer to the end and deciding, like day 9, day 10, they're down to just 1 or 2 people. They let you stay longer in the pods, and those conversations go on for so long. That's why when Brett and Tiffany were in the pod, she fell asleep. They had been up all night long just talking, or all day long talking, and she was like, the alcohol kicked in, baby. I was asleep. Um, I don't think they're compatible either. I think that with Fran, she's just such a sweet soul, and I wish that she was with a man who was just as vulnerable, just as open, just as sweet and soft spoken. I don't know. Joseph just feels like he has the upper hand in that relationship, and it makes me uncomfortable, to be honest with y'all. Chevanique says in her confessional that she can feel like her authentic self with Joseph, and then she talks to Francesca about their emotional connection developing. Francesca don't know what to do. This is what I mean. Francesca could have just easily said, "Hey, girl, this making me uncomfortable, boo, uncomfortable, baby," because I would have made a joke out of it. But she just sat there and she gracefully received it. But you could tell she didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do in that moment in the girls' lounge with Francesca and Chevanique having that conversation, because Chev feels like she can tell her anything about Joseph. Y'all are both dating him. Maybe not. Maybe not. Crying is vulnerable. I definitely get that. I'm not a big crier, and I just felt like she cried, but didn't feel like she really said anything of substance other than "I'm scared of being hurt." Gotcha. I do feel like, yeah, it's a really hard spot to be in, because I always think too, what would my limits be? What would my limits be on what I would say in the pods versus what I would wait to say in person, because we can actually be alone. There's no camera crews with them all the time on the honeymoon, so I would kind of say, okay, let's save that conversation for the honeymoon versus what I would actually be willing to say on camera. Because there's so many things, right? Like, I don't want to throw my brother under the bus with everybody watching me across the United States. I don't want to throw my dad under the bus or my mom or anything I saw in my childhood under the bus. There's no reason to. We can do that. We've got our whole life to spend together. We can do that on the honeymoon. But, just so you know, XYZ. And then I'll tell you the reason later. And I always think about that. Are people saving some things for the honeymoon? Yeah, because especially if her parents got divorced or something and she didn't want to say why she was scared, or I don't know where the emotional walls come from, but maybe she is planning to tell them at some point. And then let's see here. Oh yeah, let's talk about AJ again. We got to talk about AJ and Ciara. So AJ talks about finances with Ciara, episode 3. What did y'all think about this conversation? I knew that boy was shaking in his boots. He just knew she was going to turn around and head right back out that door when he said he didn't have a whole lot of money, because the way she has predominantly only spoken about money in conversations with these men, I just did not think this conversation was going to go well. And to be honest with you, I still don't think it went well. The words coming out of her mouth sound good, but I don't believe nothing Ciara said in that conversation. She was like, I expect you to pick up the bill for every dinner because my bag's expensive, my makeup's expensive, my dress is expensive, my shoes are expensive. So I expect a man to pay. Okay, girl, you wearing a lot of expensive stuff. Why you ain't saving no money for the food? You got on all your money on your purse and your shoes. You should have saved another $50 for that plate. We down here at the Texas Roadhouse, you better fill up on the bread, because I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, because you should have saved some money for this date. I don't see them working out long term because she is materialistic. She is. Every conversation has been about money with her, some way, in some way or form, like what her expectations for money are. I thought she was gonna leave. I don't think she's gonna stay long term. No. And I don't want to see her if they do get married, okay? I don't want to see them divorce, because I know what it would mean to him. I think personally that would be extremely hurtful to his family because of their culture. divorce isn't very common. I've talked about this a lot, that we as a Westerners, we don't mind a divorce, honey. We can't wait to get served with them papers so we can be free. We throwing divorce parties, we burning wedding dresses, throwing them in the pool, painting them up at our divorce parties, having cakes made. We doing a lot, right? In other cultures, that is nothing to be celebrated, nor is it tolerated. So I hope that they are being honest with each other off the cameras, because I don't see this working out. And I hope that they don't get married. Kira says, Kira then asks him, after he says he's financially unstable and all of this, she asks him if he has regrets. Y'all, I could not believe my ears. I could not believe my ears. So this man is honest with you about his insecurities around money, and you're like, oh, you got regrets, because you clearly should be regretful of something that led you to this point, not having no money in that bank account. It's shameful. Kira, that's how I heard it. If somebody tells you my biggest insecurity is money, and then you said, what's your biggest regret after that? Like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like, this conversation, I hope for his sake that this was cut up just funny, because I hope that this conversation happened way before the money conversation, had nothing to do with money, nothing to do with dates, nothing to do with his current job, because this was terrible, y'all. Girl, you contributed to yourself. You did nothing for the couple. That's all she got. I'm trying to tell y'all, she's standing on her head while this man vacuuming the floor. Every time I see him, that man is basically a domestic laborer. And she's just doing her own thing. She don't care about the couple. She care about herself. Kira is the star of the show. I'm telling y'all, she's egotistical and self-centered. And I want more for AJ. But she asked him about his regret. That's when he tells her the sad story was like, I regret not hugging my friend for the last time. Trees, you gonna regret every date you don't meet my minimum with this banker salary. That's exactly how it felt. You gonna regret it, baby. I I don't like her on the show. I really, really don't like her on this show. I just feel like she needs a millionaire matchmaker. Just be in a pool and see when you can get matched with a millionaire. Like a hedge fund, a trust fund baby. That's where she needs to be. Some this ain't gonna work. Let's see. Did we forget? No, I think that was the end of the episode, y'all. It was just them in the pods chit chatting, of course. Jack, Faye, Ciara, AJ, Cuba, and Ryan, Chev, and Joseph. Like, that's been pretty much, that was episode 3. Of course, I want to put up recaps. I haven't noticed them doing very well. So here's what I might do. Instead, I might take a targeted approach to one or two couples that I really feel like have big storylines, and do a breakdown of them for my videos. I just haven't figured out what time. I thought today, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna record at least 2 long form videos and have time to edit them. Well, girl, I stayed in the bed until it was time for this live. Okay, once I had to get up, get dressed for this live, I was like, okay, cool, now we can start today. But I yeah, I have not been on it when it comes to recording and uploading videos, but this live will be up tomorrow at noon, okay? So at least this will be up, and I'll be posting different things on here just to say I'm making sure I post something on a regular basis. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you guys for going through Love is Blind UK Season 3 with me. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll go through the next episode as well. Married at First Sight comes on Thursday, y'all. 2 new episodes are dropping. Uh, the couples are going to Decision Day. We're definitely going to be talking about it, because that's going to be a hot topic. The couples on Decision Day is always a hot topic. Always. And people are going to have lots of opinions. Don't y'all get sucked into these internet arguments, because people are a hot mess. I went through my comments today on one of my videos I made way back, episode 2. And I was just amazed at how nasty people were to these cast people. Um, and I just deleted so many of them because part of me is like, I don't want us to lose the authenticity of our community coming over to YouTube. And I want to make it clear that when I moderate, it is to have our community have second level conversations, not that first level, low level type, low hanging fruit. No, no, no. You can do that somewhere else. Here, we interject with nuance, and that gray area is where we live. And I really, really like it when people challenge perspectives from that point of view. But what are my predictions? I think all of them are going to say no, or I'm sorry, none of the couples are going to be yes, yes, except Michelle and Cameron, and possibly Nikki and Sean. Those are the only two that I could possibly see saying yes, yes. Everybody else, there's going to be at least one person that says no. I think with Felipe is going to be Tori. With Mecca and Belle is going to be Belle. With Adam and Marissa is going to be Marissa. With, I'm forgetting a couple. Hold on, y'all. Did I forget anybody? No, it's 5 couples now because we're down from 7. So I got everybody. But yeah, that's the only 2 that I have any type of faith in that they could possibly be a yes, yes on decision day. Who do y'all think is gonna say yes, yes on decision day with the couples? You know what? I think YouTube has a longer lag in the comments because I notice I'll ask a question and it'll be a while before it pops through. Oh, I know. They always do that. Cameron's not saying no. There is no, I do not believe that he is going to say no. I honestly think he's going to be, Cameron and Michelle are going to be our yes, yes, for sure. Yeah, Belle isn't no, for sure. But I think, and Mecca already said it, he's saying yes, regardless on decision day. So I already know that. But she's still weighing her options. And if it were me, girl, staying ain't an option. Staying ain't no option. I got to get up out of here. I got to get myself together because I got someplace to go. Sean, no. Nikki, no. Okay. Okay. Why you think Sean and Nikki gonna say no? Why you think they gonna say no? Yeah, Tori definitely saying no. She know she can't deal with this for another 40 years. Like this too much. This too much for 8 weeks. I can't imagine for 30 years, 40 years. Oh Lord. Yeah, Nikki's gonna be a no. Well, she could possibly be a no, but I would like for her to say yes. Actually, I think Tori and Felipe don't make it to the wedding. They don't. Well, they already got married, but I think you mean decision day. I thought they were at decision day because why else would they be dressed up? Were they at church that day? I thought they were at decision day because you know decision day the women come in dresses like this with their hair all done up. That's their revenge body day, and then the men usually come in a suit to say yes or no for decision day. But I thought that that's where they were. Was he told her to meet her at XYZ place before decision day. And then he wanted to try to switch it up. Whatever he said shocked her. And he was trying to make amends for it. But my issue with Felipe is that why do you keep having to apologize? Like you don't think that's crazy? Like we'd heard 8 apologies in 2 days. You don't think that's crazy? I mean, would Nikki actually leave this hunk of a man? Would she leave this 10 out of 10? You think Nikki is going to leave this 10 out of 10 when she's just a 7? What? I think Tori and Felipe don't make it to the... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. um Oh, gotcha. Yeah. No, usually decision day, they kind of just so it switches up, every city they're in a different location. It's usually some little building spot or something. And you come in, you sit on the couch and you tell the experts why you're choosing a person, how great they were, and they do that to confuse you because they'll tell you really great things and then they gotta tell you things that they were working on in their relationship. So sometimes they'll let it linger and it's like Love Island. Can you just announce what it's gonna be, please? I hate all this long drawn out high sounding music for the plot. Don't do that. Just say yes or no. And so yeah, I do think that like they're getting dressed up to go to decision day because where I don't know where else they would be going on Married at First Sight. But yeah, y'all, so we're gonna come back tomorrow 5 p.m. I will not have watched. I can, well, maybe. I probably won't have watched the latest episodes of Love is Blind UK. Just being honest with y'all, like Wednesdays I work and afterwards I need a nap. Okay? Your girl be tired and now I'll get a nap, but I'm gonna just lay here. Who knows? Peacock be doing stuff for no reason at all. Who knows what's going on with Decision Day this year? But I'm gonna take it and rock with it. Whatever they give us is gonna be good enough for me. I don't even know. They fired all of the regular people, so it could be that it wasn't organized properly, or I don't know. I really, really do not know what's happening in Seattle. Um, like none of the camera crew is still there. None of the like everybody's gone. So even Kevin's not coming back, y'all. What we gonna do this reunion without Kevin? Oh my god, I don't want to see nobody else host this. Kevin has to host Married at First Sight. What am I supposed to do? Kevin is my boy. I don't unless they get the girl. Yes, unless they get that girl. There's a girl who hosts 90 Day Fiance reunions. I forgot her name. I think it's like Chandra, something like that. She does a really good a really good job of hosting 90 Day Fiance. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? Sean Robinson. There you go. She does a really good job. Like I'll take Sean, but if Kevin's not gonna be there, it's not gonna feel the same. He's been there for all of the reunions and I've really enjoyed him. He holds people accountable. Right. I don't know what they're doing and they haven't told us who's hosting it. Please do not tell me it's going to be Jamie and Doug cuz that would set me over the edge. Please don't tell me Jamie and Doug going to be the new host cuz they don't know how to deliver the tea. They used to host that after show. Do you remember they had the Married at First Sight after show where you could come in and watch like the couples watch their scenes back? Um I do not want to see her host a reunion. I really, really don't. But I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me again, guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye, guys.